What's up, guys? It's Marley. I just wanted to say please subscribe so we can hit 50 subscribers by the end of September. Thank you to everybody that subscribed since my last video. We are currently 39 subscribers away from my goal, and yeah, enjoy the video. Today we'll be talking about a generally sensitive topic to most, surrounding the discussion of who's the greatest player of all time. And personally, being a fan of the game of basketball, your brain is programmed in a way to automatically come to an assumption of Michael Jordan. However, today we're going to see if that is simply a fact or our brain's natural algorithm when it comes to basketball fans discussing the GOAT argument. Michael Jordan was definitely an unstoppable scorer in a considerably strong era, with proof to back that statement up with a cray-cray scoring average of 30 points per game throughout his entire career, including MJ in his rookie year and washed-up MJ as a 40-year-old playing in Washington. And speaking about that year in Washington, Michael Jordan became the first 40-year-old to score 43 points in a game. He also won 6 rings, which to basketball stat heads is a very important milestone for all-time greats to have when discussing the GOAT argument, being championships won. And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to tell you that Michael Jordan isn't the greatest of all time. I just don't think he's by himself on an island. I just think there are other players that could be considered the GOAT in NBA history. We have had so many other great players like LeBron James, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Wilt Chamberlain, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Kobe Bryant, Bill Russell, Tim Duncan, and Shaquille O'Neal, and the list keeps going. But out of all these players, who makes the best case of being the greatest player of all time? Each and every player has their own unique resume. You got Bill Russell, who won 11 rings, Wilt Chamberlain for dominating the game of basketball on both ends of the court, Magic Johnson for being the ultimate teammate and quite possibly the best passer the NBA has ever seen, Tim Duncan for being very fundamentally sound, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar for having a very intelligent basketball IQ, Kobe for basically turning basketball games into trick shot competitions, Shaq for being an unstoppable monster in the low post, Larry Bird for being the most self-confident, mentally strong player of all time, as well as not only the best trash talker of all time, but also the best at backing up his trash talk. And then you will have LeBron, who's an all-around dominating player and possibly the strongest era the NBA will see. Let me take a few seconds to point out Bill Russell's career resume. He is an 11-time championships won, 5-time MVP, 12-time All-Star, and 3-time NBA first teams. He also put up averages throughout his career of 15.1 points per game, 22.5 rebounds per game, and 4.3 assists per game. These career accomplishments look pretty outstanding, mainly looking at the 11 championships won and 22.5 rebounds per game throughout his career. But let's take a second to capitalize the fact, although he has 11 championships, he doesn't have one single finals MVP, which basically states that he was never the best player on his own team. And no offense to Bill Russell fans, but 15.1 points per game in the weakest era of the game of basketball has ever seen isn't exactly impressive. So I think that it's safe to declare Bill Russell is not the greatest player of all time. Although one argument you can make for Bill Russell is that he was the best teammate of all time, but unfortunately we aren't discussing who's the best teammate of all time, we're discussing who the best players of all time. So now that we have eliminated Bill Russell from the equation, let's move on. According to ESPN, the top 5 players of all time are Michael Jordan, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, LeBron James, Magic Johnson, and Wilt Chamberlain. If we take these players and narrow it down to one, it should come down to a conclusion of who the best player of all time is, the GOAT. The interesting thing to notice about these 5 players is there's one point guard, Magic Johnson, a shooting guard, Michael Jordan, a small forward, LeBron James, and 2 centers, Kareem and Wilt. So we essentially have one player of every position except for center. So first step is to figure out who the better center is. Fortunately, these 2 players did play against each other to make it easier to decide. One thing I do want to factor in is that Wilt played in the 60s, which was a very weak era time of basketball, and although he dominated and put up crazy numbers, he only won 2 championships that were both after Bill Russell retired. So for the most part, that makes me believe that Wilt was kind of like a Westbrook-type player, who put up crazy numbers and didn't do a whole lot of winning. Whereas, not only did Kareem play in a strong era of basketball, but he also put up great numbers and won 6 championships. So you can have your own opinion, but I think Kareem is the better center. That leaves us with 4 players. We have Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, LeBron James, and Michael Jordan. One thing I did notice about Kareem and Magic is they both played their careers together for the most part and completed each other's games. So I guess the real question here is, what's the best passer without the best scorer, and what's the best scorer without the best passer? So in my opinion, LeBron is probably then both Kareem and Magic. Yes, I know, LeBron has had many great players on his teams, but he often leads his team in assisting and scoring. Now it's basically between LeBron and MJ for the greatest of all time argument. And at the end of the day, MJ does have more championships and is more in a lot of places in the game. I do think it's a very good chance of LeBron passing MJ as the greatest of all time by the end of his career, though. What's up, guys? Thank you for watching. Make sure to drop a comment who you think the greatest player of all time is, and as always, cue that music.